Scott Stellar Blade director says half-second input lag when parrying and dodging is deliberate. Yeah, that's not something you hear very often, is it?
No, that sounds a little strange.
Yeah, Chris Scullion over at VGC, the director of Stellar Blade, has explained that what players are describing as input lag during certain moves is a deliberate choice. In an interview with 4Gamer, Kim Young-tae was asked about the game's demo and said that the subject of input lag was brought up. Kim was asked why there appears to be a delay between pressing a button for performing a perfect parry or dodge and the actual move being performed. He explained that it was a design choice to keep the animation smooth, and said there's no actual input lag because the skill is activated the moment the button is pressed, even if the animation takes a while to play. Quote, in Stellar Blade, there is about a half-second lag between the moment you press the button and the moment the skill is visible on screen. End quote. He said, quote, it's a time lag that can't be reduced any further. We made it so that the character's movement does not get triggered immediately upon button press, as we perform this would not fit the game's style of animation. Thus, we made it so that the skill itself is activated the moment you press the button, but the animation of the movement follows afterwards. End quote. Kim added that the feedback shows players feel the delay animation makes the game harder to play. The studio may make changes in the future. Scott, interesting little decision, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little strange that they want to preserve that animation flow. It does make sense because of the way people are looking at this game. They want that the clean models and the nice look of the game to persist, and that makes a lot of sense. But when it gets kind of disjointed like that, it seems like it would be a major issue, like something that would have been prioritized over the animation. But this isn't exactly a fighting game, and I'm thinking of it, if you're just in terms of the player, maybe it's just a misconception. The way that you can play Mortal Kombat and the inputs to that game are incredibly different than if I were to play Tekken. The inputs are just different timing, different style to it. The same thing is happening, but it feels different.
Yeah.
So I guess I can kind of understand that even though the animation, the most important thing is that button input is indeed triggering the parry or the dodge. So as long as that part is intact, then I don't see this as a flaw in the product.
No, I don't think it's a flaw either. I think it's a unique design choice, and I almost wish some would do it more often, because I want it, when I hit the button, dude, I want to see the flow of the animation perfect, right? I want to see that pull off in a way that I'm hitting the button and then it goes, but I'm more distracted by hitting the button than I am seeing the animation, if that makes sense. Like, there's a bit of a delay for me personally, I think, over than the actual game design. So it's one of those things. When I played it too, you can put it on story mode, so it actually prompts you with quick time events, and then you hit that, and then the animation kind of kicks in and takes over. So for me, it's something I never even noticed, man. But I guess those who play on the harder difficulties, like yourself, Scott, might feel a little disjointed, because when you do hit it, it doesn't automatically react, right? Which I can see, because it has this bit of a Souls kind of take on it, because it is a matter of you need to perform these parries and these dodges properly. But for me, I'm like, now that I think about it, there is a delay. I just never even, like, it never even dawned on me at the time. It's just something I thought was cool. I thought it worked. Everything in the game looks incredible. So for me, dude, I had a great time playing Stellar Blade, and it's one I definitely recommend everybody check out. But yeah, it's one of the design choices I've never even really thought of before. Very interesting to see if anybody else will take up this style.
It kind of makes me think of there are two differences when we played Skull and Bones. How the movement felt different for some, and it was kind of annoying because it felt a little bit delayed because your character would kind of lumber in that direction instead of instantly move. But I recognized the difference there, and it didn't bother me at all in Skull and Bones. So perhaps this is not as big of a deal as it's made out to be.
Maybe, because when you mentioned Skull and Bones, dude, it drove me nuts. I was trying to move. My guy's like partly moving sideways, and then he's come around, and then I was just like, man, this feels so off. But that game has other issues to worry about. It's it's nice to see, I think, Stellar Blade come out with such a well-received, critically acclaimed reaction. I'm curious to see, now that it's out, what people are actually getting into, how they feel. I've heard some people put, like, they leveled up their character to level 50 just in the demo alone. I'm like, My
Holy.
man, that's putting some time in, right? So I think some people are going to get hooked by this. I thought the creatures were super cool. The Natibas were very unique to their own regards. Man, I got one. They grabbed me, and then like their head was a sphere, but it was all spikes, but it was on like a wheel. So they grabbed me and went right into their head. And it was just, man, very cool.
You got attacked by a grinder bot.
Pretty much, man. It was something else, yeah. And I like the story. There's a lot of cool parts to it. Some jiggles along the way as well, but nothing too overpowering, mind you. So I don't know. I'm curious to see now at this point what they do about this decision. Do they go back to take it out? Is the feedback enough? Because we've seen a lot of feedback come in on games where they go in and go, okay, you know what? We'll change this. Dude, the biggest one for me was Mass Effect 3, the ending of that game. And then people put up... It's unheard of. They actually went in and changed the ending because it made so many people mad that they're like, all right, we've heard the feedback. We're going to come in and fix this. At the end, was it worth it? Does it really matter?
Oh, that's a hard answer. For Mass Effect, it did matter, but after a couple hundred hours, it didn't really matter to me.
Yeah, that's just it. At the end of the day, anybody look back now and go, oh, I'm glad they fixed that ending, right? So
yeah.
For this little decision here, dude, the minute you wrap this up, you're done. Like there's no real reason to go back. If you want to clean up a couple side quests, then sure. But otherwise, Stellar Blade is a point A to point B storyline, and then you're in and you're out by the time you're all wrapped up. So it's not like you're gonna, whatever. I don't know. Everybody's gonna vary on their mileage on this one too. You can go anywhere between where I'm looking at around like 40-50 hours, where I know other people, some of the reviewers clean it up in like 27-25 hours kind of thing, right? So it just depends on how much you vary off. Do some of those side quests, I got hooked. Like I was in. I'm like, man, I kind of care about this, which was really nice for me to see, because sometimes I just beeline the story because some of the side characters and stuff just don't matter. This one had an impact on me at least. So I'm very curious now that it's out in the wild, what people are going to get into and how far they're going to push this game. Stellar Blade was definitely a nice surprise this year.
This is one little hang up on what was definitely a commercial success. So maybe we'll figure out what the changes are for Stellar Blade 2.
Ah, man, Stellar Blade 2. Never even thought of that. We might just see that yet, won't we? But you can always see us over on ITGTV.com. Keep up to date with everything we do over there for the news, reviews, previews, interviews, and a whole lot more.